Gamble the Globe here with Mark from Cowboy Slots. We're here at
What's up,
Winstar,
guys?
Thackerville, Oklahoma.
That's right.
We didn't have a great time today.
No, it
We
was
didn't
not
do
good. Bingo machines were not fans tonight.
Bingo machines kicked my ass.
They kicked my ass too.
I mean,
it wasn't good.
If it wasn't for pinball saving me some.
Let's see. We both listen, guys.
Wow.
We were hammering those bingo machines for a while, playing quarters, dollars, whatever, and just not getting much of anything.
Nothing.
You know, always ended up with zero. And so this
Every
guy
time.
over here is like, you know, if I'm going to lose the rest of my money, I'm going to lose it on top dollar.
I'm going to lose it on something I know.
That's
Something I
right.
know is going to,
So we went looking for top dollars, and they were all taken.
they're packed.
Yeah, they're packed. Very
I
packed.
couldn't believe
Very
that.
crowded tonight. And so we went into one of the rooms, and
The Crown Room.
the Crown, was it the Crown?
Yeah, the Crown
it's
room.
the new high limit room.
The new high limit room.
Yeah, exactly. And they had some pinballs that caught his eye.
Dollar machine pinball.
Yeah.
I played the least visible one on the very edge.
That's right.
It was still visible because I could see it.
You could see it.
Yeah, it wasn't invisible.
Yeah, it
Don't
wasn't
play the invisible slots.
No, don't do that.
And it was just great. Like, it was giving me nothing. I had a little bit of free play at $30 in free play.
Yep.
Giving me nothing. All of a sudden, pinball bonus. And that pinball bonus was amazing.
You got the 250 bucket,
That was awesome.
and then you got that crazy line hit.
And then I
too.
got a top and bottom line hit that
Yeah.
does not happen very often.
No, it was the 3 5 bars, double,
Yep. And
every
the,
single one of them.
the
And
red
then
sevens
the
across
red
the
sevens
bottom.
across the bottom.
And it was just all in red sevens, no doubles. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
But it was $360 for
That
a
wasn't
line
bad.
hit on pinball.
That was good. And then Mark sits down
I was
one
like,
machine
you know what?
over.
Yeah, exactly. I
He's
was
going to
like,
do the same thing. If I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose on something I know.
exactly. And I had some free play, so I put some free play in there, and I got the it was like maybe the third or fourth spin.
Third
that
or
I
fourth
got the
spin,
bonus. And I got the 250 bucket too.
Yep.
Which I don't think that's ever happened to me before.
I think I've seen it once. I think way
Yeah.
back when a pinball first came out,
Just
I got it
wild.
one time.
And played it down a little bit, got the bonus again, and so I cashed out up too. So pinball saved us. this
Pinball
time.
saved us. I mean, that's the
a lot of
problem. Is
fun.
I was definitely chasing that diamond. The last diamond. I know not to chase these last diamonds on these bingo machines.
Oh yeah,
But here I am
tried to
chasing
warn
it.
him.
He
I
did.
tried to
He
warn
tried
him.
to warn me. And
it's hard.
it's that
It's hard.
last diamond.
Yeah.
And it's just like nothing. And the guy next to me was 4 diamonds down, and he got 3 diamonds in the time I couldn't get one.
Yeah, but it's that last one.
It's that last one.
It takes no time at all to fill it up to that last one.
That's how they
That
get you to
last
stay there.
Yeah, that last. If you walk around at all of those that have the diamonds, they're almost always on that last.
always
one,
on the last one.
just to get you. So don't
And they
don't
got
think
me.
it's close.
They got me
Oh,
good.
they got you good.
And
Yeah.
that damn Ruby game just every single time. 7. Ruby's off one line. Ruby's
Yeah.
a multiplier.
Yeah, the 2 times.
The
Yeah.
7's off the wrong line. Ruby, 7 wrong. I mean,
That's the
just
thing with the
nothing
bingo
match
games,
up.
guys, is that you're going to get a lot of teasing. A
A
lot of teasing.
lot more teasing you do than even like the regular Class 3 machines.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
I mean, they're just
Oh, for sure.
hammering you on those big wins too. They're not like, oh, I could have hit a
Yeah.
line hit. It's always, oh, I could have hit the jackpot repeatedly.
Yeah. There is really something, guys, to, if you're going to play a bingo games, play it when it's less crowded.
Less crowded.
Because the several times that we've been here where it's been really crowded, we just haven't done very well on them. So
And it is a Friday night.
it's
It
a
is
Friday
one of the
night.
busiest
Winstar.
nights for Winstar.
It's crazy.
Always on the weekends
So,
it's crowded.
Yep.
Come during the week.
That's
Would
right.
be the best thing.
So anyway, we were going to do some cool stuff today because we were going to talk about crazy myths and what we
Crazy
actually
myths.
think about them. And
I got a good one because I heard one downstairs.
oh, you already heard one.
I heard one
Okay.
downstairs, yeah.
Let me hear it.
So, when a machine is showing, and we just talked about this, when a machine's showing a good line hit but just missed, it's ready to hit.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, because
Of course.
that's what it is. And I'm like, I proved that wrong on that machine.
Many times.
Because-
many times over.
Over and over again, I should have gotten $2,500.
Yeah.
And over and over again, I didn't.
Yeah.
And so it's just complete BS.
We hear this a lot, and it doesn't even matter if it's Class 2 or Class 3. It's the same thing. People say this all the time, especially with pinball, like the old classic pinball and the old classic top dollar, that when you start seeing it above and below the line, it's coming soon.
Oh, it's coming soon.
But listen, guys, the way that they did that, now we're going to get real technical here, but the way that they program that machine is that virtual reel strip on that third reel, there is a lot of positions where the blank happens to be in between those two symbols. So you're going to see it very frequently. And again, that's just a tactic. Like these
Right.
manufacturers build that stuff in there to I don't know, perpetuate this myth because it's like, I mean,
They
people
wanna
think
keep
it's
going.
almost close, and
Almost close.
you almost
People
got
keep
it,
playing.
so you got to keep playing. But even though it's one off, a lot of people do this too, where you get the two double diamonds, and then the last one's one off. You're like, man, I almost hit it.
Got it. I
You
was
would-
so close.
You were not close.
You were not close
You
at
were
all.
not close at all. You
And
were
it
as
just-
far off as if you just saw 3 blanks and no double diamonds anywhere invisible.
And I've also noticed that on some of these bingo ones, the class 2s especially,
Yeah.
the symbol between the top and the bottom, it'll almost be a space for another symbol in there.
Right. Right.
And it's just that big a blank.
right.
And I'm like, what the hell? Because I'm like, there's a symbol at the top and a symbol at the bottom, but nothing in between because
Yeah.
that big blank.
Yeah.
And almost every other machine, it's equal spaced.
Well, it's still equal spaced. It's just that the reels on VGT machines are much larger.
Gotcha.
So
you have a larger reel.
It gives you the perception that it's, there's 2 blanks for every symbol.
Everything
but
to
it's
make
still,
it look like a win's
It's
possible.
still blank symbol, blank symbol, blank symbol. But yeah, it's definitely worse on the class 2 machines because again, you're playing bingo. Whatever you're seeing there is just for entertainment purposes.
It's just a graphical representation
Yeah.
of bingo.
And it's going to make you feel like you're getting close hits and all that stuff. The way that I found playing those is that let's say you're looking at the cards and you've learned kind of what the common patterns are and you see a good card come up, but you see that 7 come on the first one, you're not getting anything.
You're not getting anything.
You're not getting anything. You probably get a 7 and a 7 and then nothing, or
I've
a
proved that
bar
out
or
pretty
something
good.
like that. So yeah, usually when you see that first 7, you know it's all over. Even though you got a good card, it's not going to matter.
When that first wild comes up, you're like, yes, no,
No,
because nothing. It's got to match something. It's
gotta
not.
match
It's not its
something.
own
Yeah,
symbol.
If you get a terrible card and you see 2 of those double symbols come up, you shouldn't get excited.
What I was doing was
So-
watching the card way more than I was watching the reels because
Right.
the card's
Well,
what
that's
matters.
actually what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had a great card. All but 2 numbers were possible on the card,
Yep.
and I hit nothing.
Yeah.
Even if you have a perfect card, doesn't mean you're going to hit. Your pattern
Yeah.
still has to hit.
And one thing that you may not have noticed this, but the number of eligible numbers actually increases the longer the call out is going on
Right.
the bingo game. So
Before it resets.
whenever it resets, you're not going to get those full cards as often. If you do, if it resets and you get a full card, you're about to get something very big
Good one.
because not a lot of numbers have been called. And if you ever watch a bingo machine when it's in its attract mode, like you don't have any money in it, and it cycles through each of the different patterns, how much they pay, notice how it says after X number of balls called or X number of numbers called. And so the way that you get those big ones is when there's not a lot of numbers that have been called yet, but you have a very full
Very
card.
full card, so at the same
So
time.
if it's very late in the bingo game where it's almost to the very end, you're going to start seeing a lot more highlighted patterns. So you typically do get excited because it's like, oh, the card is almost full.
It could make it happen.
It could make it happen, but when it's that full and it's gone on for that long, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get something big there.
And if you do, they're going to be smaller hits.
They're going to be smaller hits.
I was getting a lot of 6s.
So yeah, exactly.
You know,
So
a lot of 6 credit hits.
what you really want to look for to know that, and again, this is after the fact, right?
Right.
Like this is not happening before where you can determine a lot
You
of
can
people.
figure this stuff out
Yeah.
and make an advantage for yourself.
A lot of
this
peop-
is analysis after the fact.
Yeah, this is like there's people think that. I mean, I've heard rumors. I know we're going off on a tangent here, but a lot of people think that you should play it when it's late in the game, or you should play it in the beginning of the game because your odds are better, or whatever the case, or only play it when you see the O numbers being filled. I mean, I've heard everything.
I don't know. I
So
mean,
the thing is that again, remember, guys, there is no class 2 machine or class 3 machine that you can manipulate into giving you a win or knowing when it's about to pay. Nothing like that would ever be allowed on a casino floor.
because
It's just
the casino's not going to give away money.
they're not.
They're not in that business.
And just think about like, arcades or like the carnival games. There are some carnival games that you really don't have a chance of ever winning.
Right.
Some are just really scams.
Unless you watch that guy on TikTok that shows you how to beat
Right.
the carnival games.
Right.
But he has all the carnival games
But the thing
to
is,
practice
but
100,000 times.
But not only that, but the thing with those is that it is a game of skill. Some of those are a game of skill, and that's why they limit the number of prizes that you can have each visit.
Yeah.
So if you're really good at one of those games, like the rope ladder,
The walking up the rope
walk
ladder.
over the rope ladder, if you're really good at those, you can win a prize, but they'll only give you one a day. So think about the casino. If they suddenly introduce skill inside of a slot machine, people would go crazy trying to learn
the skill
to the point where the casino couldn't make money off of it.
And we're not going to see that in a class 2, class 3 place.
That's never going to happen, guys.
Right.
So try to remember that, if you think that you can manipulate a bingo machine by changing the card or wait until certain numbers are being called or whatever, you can't. What we're talking about is what happens after you press the spin button and you commit, because a new bingo card shows up.
New numbers show
new
up.
eligible numbers show up. Some
I
are
noticed
highlighted.
some different
some
numbers
aren't.
are getting locked in
Right.
after the spin.
Right. All these things are happening very fast, and there's no way to predict what's going to happen until you commit to that bet. And by then, you can't make any decision because your
Right.
fate is sealed,
You're
just like
already
on
in it.
any kind of slot machine. So, but what you can do, and what we're talking about, is that if you do learn the patterns well, you can have that excitement factor before the reels even start to lock.
Which I did notice this time when I started getting the private stripes
Right.
and the buttons and all those, and it kept going. The one time I did have several red spins.
Right.
I'm like, ooh, there's this one. There's step ladder. There's open diamond. I'm like, that's great. And step ladder obviously being the best one.
Right.
I still have no idea what I'm talking about, but I can see what it says on the card
Right.
and tell you guys about it.
Right.
And this time I did have the card showing on all the spins, because someone that last time was like, we can't see the card. And I'm like, oh, because the reels don't matter. You want to see the card.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but you got a VGT, like the top monitors are usually garbage. They're very hard.
They're
unless
hard to
you're
read.
looking straight at it. Sometimes the bingo card's way up in the left corner, and it's
sometimes
really
the size
small.
of a postage stamp.
Yeah, so it's hard, guys. Like, we want to show that, but
I almost need 2 cameras. One
Just
showing
one
the
to show
reels and one right at
just
the
right
card.
the bingo card. That'd be a good idea.
That wouldn't be a
actually.
bad idea.
I think that'd be cool to see.
That'd be hard to do, but it'd be cool to see.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to be playing Class 2s much.
No, not after this
Not
time.
after this.
No.
And I haven't seen yet where you can change the bingo card.
I haven't seen that here, but I heard
Yeah, I
that
know it's here somewhere.
there are some that you can. But
Yeah.
I haven't seen that here at Winstar.
I've seen them
So-
in different videos here, but I don't know
Okay.
which machines. I'm not that much
It's
into
again, it won't make any difference.
Right. Just
It won't
play a
make,
different card to make yourself feel better.
it won't make any difference because you pick a different card, but the one thing you can't pick is which numbers are going to be highlighted.
Right.
So it's pointless.
So it's pointless.
It's
You're just-
absolutely pointless.
You're just picking a different card.
You're just picking a different card because you think it looks pretty and it has your favorite numbers on it.
You might as well bring a
But
troll
again,
doll
guys,
along.
you cannot manipulate these things. There's no way that's going to happen.
There's no secrets. There's no nothing. There's pressing the button. That's all there is. And that's it.
And people will probably say, yeah, there's exceptions. Though, yeah, there's always exceptions. Must hit by progressives.
Right.
You do have some advantage.
Oh, there's
play,
another myth.
you know.
The secret progressive on a non must hit by progressive.
Right. So let's talk about that real quick.
So that's complete BS. We know that for
Yeah,
a fact.
yeah,
the
that's-
meter's going high on that one.
On the BS meter.
Yeah.
So, guys, if it's a must hit by progressive, and what we mean by that is that the progressive is climb. That's what a progressive is, right? It's a
Right.
climbing
Must
number.
hit by.
Okay, it's a climbing number. So
I'm going to get a picture. I'm going to put it right here to show you what
There
the
you
must
go.
hit drive looks. Yeah.
exactly. So it's going to say must win by, must hit by, something like that, below the number. Some of the older games, I think China Shores is one of them. It may be in the game rules that you see it, but it has to say somewhere if it does have a must hit by number.
It has to show you that.
It has to
fully
show
disclose
you,
it.
fully disclose what it is. They don't have to show what the starting number is, but they do have to show when it must hit by. And basically what this means is that, for every wager that you place on that machine, the progressive amount grows, and it's going to get closer and closer to that must hit by. And if it happens to go all the way up, it must pay.
It must pay at that point.
It must pay at that point.
Which I've only seen
But
that happen one time.
it typically
where it got
will pay-
right to the 5,000, right to the 10,000.
Yeah.
And then it instantly paid.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like the next spin, instant pay.
Yeah.
So it was no surprise at all.
Yeah.
Which I would love that.
Yeah. Well, in theory, you'd want it to happen much earlier than that, so
Right.
you don't have to chase it to the
So
end.
to chase it to the end,
But
don't chase must hit buys.
no, unless
Stab at 'em,
I'm
don't
talking
chase 'em.
like if it's within 5% of
There
the
you go,
top.
that's
But
good.
here's my thing: if it is within 5%, you're not getting on that machine because somebody else
'Cause
is going to
someone's
be
already
sitting there
there.
hammering it.
They've got as much as the progressive pays out
Yep.
ready to put in that machine.
We were out at Lake Tahoe and went to one of the casinos there, and I was playing Thunder Cash,
Of course.
and the lady next to me was on Eagle Bucks, and she sat down. It was at 478 out of 500 on the minor. So
Not
she
bad.
picked a good machine
Yeah,
to play.
that's pretty good.
And she sat there and she was chasing it and chasing it. It went at 498.
God. Then she
and
ran out of money.
3 cents. So she was just like, I'm done with this thing.
Oh.
So she did hit it because it went at 498, but she was hoping it was going to hit a lot sooner.
A lot
than that.
sooner,
But,
yeah.
You know,
At least she hit it
if you
after
do
all that.
if you do the calculations, you can kind of figure out how much, when is it actually an advantage play to play a must hit by progressive, but there's still no guarantees because you may not get the bonus rounds, you may not get the line hits to keep funding
Right.
your ability to hit it. So you just got to be really careful with those. But if it doesn't say that anywhere, it's a normal progressive.
There's no secret progressive.
Right. There's no secret progressive
Unless you use your decoder ring and unlock the secret progression.
Right.
Progressive.
Well, just to clarify, there are some slot machines that have mystery progressives.
Well, that's a little
But
different
it's
though,
but
'cause
it's
a
but
mystery
those are in the
prize.
same bucket as a regular progressive.
Right.
Meaning that
They're not must hit
and by the
buys, they're
way,
bonus.
and by the way, 90% of the progressives out there are normal progressives. They're
Right.
not must hit by progressives.
Well, I mean,
This
we
is your
said Dragon Link,
Lightning
Lightning Link,
all of these
all the lock and holds.
lock and hold
yeah,
games.
all those ones.
Those
have-
are normal progressives. So what this means is that every single spin has an equal chance of hitting the progressive.
And those ones you're looking for your maxed out major, maxed out minor, all those
Right.
ones. And you're not guaranteed a chance. It's just when they're maxed out, you may have a better chance of randomly getting it versus getting on a bonus game. Because
Not necessarily.
not necessarily. Because I've
No,
seen
no.
the randomness come up more than I've seen it hit on a bonus game.
Just because a progressive is maxed out does not give you any indication that your odds are better to hit it
Okay,
at
gotcha.
any time.
Because it doesn't have to pay out like a
It
must.
doesn't have to pay out.
There you go.
And what is actually happening, let's say that it is a Dragon Link and the major is at 10,000, okay, which is, I think that's the maxed out.
Yeah,
for
maxed
the
out majors 10,000.
So it's sitting at 10,000. It's actually it's still growing in behind the scenes.
Because you have a second major that's still progressing.
Exactly. So progressives can't, when they max out, all it is a setting that the manufacturer says, that, or sometimes the casinos, but for those Lightning Link games, it's the manufacturer setting that, this is the most that a player can win on this particular level.
I think it resets at about like
5,000.
5,000, 6,000, something like
I think
that.
it's 5,000 that those reset at. But here's what's actually happening, because we've talked about this before. We talked about it on your live stream. Like, progressives must be paid back to the player.
They have to be.
So
that's stealing if they don't.
if it goes to its capped at 10,000, it does not mean that as it continues to grow past that 10,000 behind the scenes, that extra money goes to the casino.
It gets saved in a different. Now we actually saw that last year at G2E.
Right.
Slot Bandits was playing that maxed out major.
Yep.
And he hit it pretty hard, but didn't hit anything. He walked away, and the lady came up with $200,
Yeah.
hit the maxed out major, and you saw how long it was a major because the reset amount was like 7,700.
Right.
So
right.
it had been building for quite a while
That's
in the background.
exactly right. And I'm glad you witnessed that, because a lot of people don't think that's what's going on, but
And you can see it happening.
yeah,
you just gotta pay
it can
attention.
actually, there is another video. I can't ever find it anymore, but somebody, if you guys know, where it reset at 10,000.
Oh my God.
It was maxed out twice. And so but this is the lesson. A lot of people will start getting on those machines because they think because it's maxed out, suddenly their odds are better at hitting it. You have the same odds of hitting it at that point than hitting it on the very next spin after it just reset. Nothing's different there. But just remember that the must-hit buys are a specific range, where a regular progressive has no range at all, but it has a hit frequency attached to it. Okay, so the major has, I don't know what it is, 1 in a million.
One
or
in a
whatever.
million, one in
Who knows?
800,000.
Who knows?
Somebody knows that
But
somewhere.
Cherry's Jubilee is a much different story. You know, the hit frequency on those progressives is much lower.
It's like 1 in 500,
I mean,
something like that.
in
I mean,
theory,
it's got to be low.
In theory, it could climb above 1,200. In theory, it very rarely does, simply because of the hit frequency. But there is nothing stopping it from continuing to go and going and going, and it could happen sometime.
And now the progressive growing isn't slots in general. So they back when they had Caribbean Stud, which I used to love playing Caribbean Stud, they always had the progressive bonus for a Royal Flush.
Right.
So I was playing one time in St. Louis. The bonus was $50,000, which was maxed. Someone hit it that night I was there. I wasn't playing at that time. I would have won a piece of it. Stupid. The bonus reset at 50,000. I asked the pit boss. I was like, "Wait a minute, is it always 50,000?" He says, "No, it's hit so infrequently. We have 50,000 pools that are running, and we have another one that's running that will build back up to 50,000."
Interesting.
And
Okay.
so like they were ready to go. Just
50,000.
They wanted to pay it out because they wanted to clear it, because right about this time is where casinos started getting rid of Caribbean Stud.
I gotcha.
They had to get all of their progressives cleared before they could get the game back.
Get rid of it. Yeah.
So what they were doing was stopping the progressive growing by not allowing you to play it, but you could still win it.
Makes sense.
So they had to clear them all out. And
Wow.
that took a long time for some casinos. There was a couple
yeah.
in Vegas that just got rid of their Caribbean Stud a couple years ago.
Oh my goodness.
And I missed that game so much. It was the strategy behind it was don't even look.
No,
Just play.
Just play it.
It didn't help you to look at your cards. Just play them. No,
So it's
don't,
like a slot machine.
really don't do that. But that was just kind of the joke of it, is looking at your cards doesn't help. Just
Right.
play it.
Yeah.
And it was like that whole thing. Oh, and the other myth we joke about all the time is, does the buffet have shrimp?
Yeah. Right.
You know,
This is Brantley's thing.
it's like, does the buffet have
Yeah.
shrimp?
Yeah.
We did not check if the buffet had shrimp before we started playing
Yeah.
tonight. We should have done that.
Yeah. Here's the thing, guys. Like,
The buffet always has shrimp. I've
There-
never seen a buffet that doesn't have shrimp.
right. If they have it, they're going to run out of it quick.
They're gonna run out of it quick.
It's like the crab legs.
The
you know.
crab legs, oh man, crab legs at Caesar's.
Yep.
Ooh, those are good. You can get 'em.
But yeah, you know, the funny thing is that maybe a long time ago, and I did find a video from probably 20 years ago, where there was this guy explaining how slot machines were laid out on the casino floor. That they would put some at the end of the aisle that would pay more, etc.
You put your 97 percenters at the
Yeah,
end to draw
exactly.
people in.
Yeah, listen, like all of these things about, you know, slot machine placement and odds settings and things like that, you know, you hear these myths and rumors about, well, they always put
Always put the winners at the end of the aisle.
the end of the aisle, or it's visible so people can see other people winning.
If it's facing the aisle.
Right, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Number one, they don't do that. They set it based on the denomination, you know, not location.
Denominations are together.
All the denominations. So if they have penny machines here, you're going to find penny machines, I don't know, 83 to 86%, somewhere in that range probably.
Probably a little bit lower here,
Yeah,
actually.
it might be lower.
You know,
here. It might be
I know
lower
in
here.
Louisiana, it's actually, if you were on the old river boats, on the river boats that are still there, you were in the 70s. You know, you could be easily
Yeah.
in the 77%, 78%
Yeah,
range.
don't play penny machines, guys.
Yeah, they were horrible.
But-
there were a couple of times where saw some of the slot machines come out,
Yeah,
and there's quarter machines at 76%. And I'm like,
yeah.
no wonder. It's like, what crap odds. It's like being on a cruise ship.
I think the critical piece to this is that let's just assume that they did do this. Let's say that they picked a machine. You had 5 top dollars there, and they said, let's make that second one 2% higher than the rest. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that they did do that.
And who's going to play the machine the most? That one right there.
Right. They're gonna. Well, here's the thing.
You wouldn't even notice, actually. I mean,
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, there is no way that you can evaluate a machine in a short-term play session to determine its payback percentage. There is
Right.
no way
you don't
to
have
do
enough
that.
data.
You have to do millions of spins before you see any kind of comparable difference between machines. Okay, if you are a long-term gambler, you will know that playing penny machines is a bad idea.
As
Okay.
my statistics professor used to say, you can't have a sample size of the small. You
Yeah.
have to have a large sample size for everything before you can deduce
Make anything
from the data.
So people that say that you can, spin a machine a certain amount of times and evaluate it based off of that, whether it gives you a win or not, is just it's a lack of understanding of how you know the law of large numbers works.
Right.
Okay, slot
Statistics
machines
is big
statistics is big. When they set a payback percentage on a machine, it is a long-term play.
because the casinos are marathon
Right.
runners. We're all sprinters.
I don't know if you remember the video I did a while back where I took pinball at home and I set it to 86%, and I did 200 spins on it. And then I wiped it. I set it to 98% and did 200 spins.
And you end up winning more on the
So
86%.
on the 86%, it paid back over 100. It was 166% in 200 spins. And then on the 98%, it was like 88% that it paid back over 200 spins. 200 spins is a pretty normal session sitting at a machine.
Right.
It's actually a pretty long
It's
session.
actually pretty long, especially at a
You know,
$5 machine.
And could you evaluate that and determine which was the winning machine based off of that? You can't.
No.
Because in that situation, the one that was set 15% lower was paying back 160%. But that's called variance, and there's going to be variance in anything that has to deal with large numbers like this. So that is actually what's going on. So whenever a machine is produced, okay, there's something called a par sheet that is created. Think
These
of
par
this,
sheets are secret. They're
They're
not
secret.
just running around.
Unfortunately, we can't look at them as the public. Maybe someday that'll change, but we can't right now. But basically what a par sheet does is it explains the operation and the proof that this is how the game is going to play out over the long run. Now, there's the payback percentage, that is a setting on the machine, and they say that within 90% confidence, based on these number of spins, this is the variance that you can expect on this machine. So as you can imagine, let's say it was 90%, the variance after 1,000 spins is 20% payback to 180% payback. But you add another 9,000 spins to that, 10,000,
And
that
go
variance shrinks.
And then more and more.
More and more and more down to 10 million spins when it's within 0.2% of that payback percentage. And they run simulations to ensure that's actually what
And
happens.
hundreds of millions of spins,
The
too.
hundreds of millions of spins to ensure that within 90% confidence that if a casino sets this setting, this is what they're going to expect over 10 million pulls on that machine, which is about the average life of a machine these days.
And when they're running these simulations, they're doing it on the software on the back end.
Right.
They're not
Right.
actually seeing the wheel spin. They're just
Right.
simulating it.
Which they can do. They can run through the math. And the thing that I actually learned recently is that these manufacturers are not the ones that do this. There's third-party auditors that are not associated with these manufacturers
Proof
at all,
of their numbers.
that run through these simulations to prove and sign off on it, saying that this game's math is correct and this can be allowed on a casino floor.
And the casinos use the par sheets to evaluate what games
Right.
they're going to bring in.
Right.
And they're going to say, oh, these machines are paying back this. I want them.
Right.
But that necessarily isn't their only decision, because they're also a decision on what's hot. What's the popular game right now?
It's popular because all the casino really cares about at the end of the day is people playing the machines.
Yep, people playing the machine.
They want butts in the chair playing the
Playing,
machine.
pushing that button,
Yeah.
pushing that button,
If
chasing that
nobody's-
diamond.
Yeah, exactly. If nobody's playing that machine, they're going to get it out of there and replace it with something else.
Exactly.
But the other factor to that, of course, is volatility. And they do make decisions on that too, because they're different play styles. A highly volatile game is going to have a bigger variance range. So a 90% machine might be 5% up to 300%, because higher
Where it is in
volatility,
that payout.
exactly, higher volatility games will have a bigger range of wins to pick from, mostly small to nothing, but you have those gigantic wins that will bring it back in. So here's the example that I like to use. We talk about like megabucks. Okay?
Oh God, megabucks.
So
But you always play it though. You always take a
you-
stab at it
it's-
once in a while.
It's,
You know,
it's a dream, right?
yeah. I'm going to
here-
hit $13 million. No, you're not.
But,
But, I'm going to play it anyway.
But imagine a megabucks machine that's set at 90%. Okay, it probably operates somewhere around 60 to 70% most of the time, because as soon as somebody hits the megabucks, it's going to drive that percentage way up
to be like
three
insane.
or 4,000%. But over
and it's
time,
got this gap to come back
right?
down
But
to.
it will eventually come back down because of that 60 to 70% normal operation. Over time, that 3,000 is just going to slowly start to creep back to the 90% setting that it's set at.
And it's been 20 years since someone won megabucks.
No, it hasn't been that long.
Isn't it? Hasn't been that long?
No, somebody hit it a couple weeks ago, actually.
What, the 13 million?
Yeah.
Damn, that was mine.
It was in Las Vegas,
Now
too.
before that, it had been at least a decade though.
I think it hits every couple of years.
Really? Because
Yeah.
I don't remember when it hit last time.
Yeah, I think there's actually a website you can go to.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go check it out.
Yeah,
'cause
I think it hit a couple of years ago, but
I only play when it hits like 10 million because I know I have a chance then.
You have a same chance. You know that. But
It's like I only play Powerball when it's at 750
Right.
million because I have a chance.
so anyway, to sum up this myth, guys, you cannot evaluate a machine to
There's no
determine
way.
if it's going to be a winner or not.
You can't look at a machine.
There's no way
and
to
get
do it
anything.
in the short term. If you could sit at a machine and spin it 10 million times, yes, you could figure out if it's a high payout percentage or a low payout percentage machine. But that's not what people do, and so it really makes sense that you focus on all the other stuff that's important, like playing the lower volatility games, sticking to your budget, not the thing that we get asked. Oh, I know you get asked this too. Is like, what's the highest denomination I should play? I heard that the odds are way better on playing higher denomination games. It's like,
I mean,
like technically speaking, yes.
yes, but we're talking about small minute versus the risk of your dollars.
Exactly right.
You know?
Exactly right.
And-
That's what you should be evaluating.
And I mean, I definitely do this as well. Like, I'll play quarters, I'll play 50 cents,
Yeah.
but I prefer to be in that $5 range.
Right.
But I'm very tight about that. Like $5 at 2 credit.
Right.
Or like $1 at 3 credit.
Right.
That kind of thing. Or I'll do 5 line for $1 each.
Right.
But anything beyond that, I'm like, now my risk is going higher.
Right.
And my reward's only going up that much.
Very small.
And
Very small.
do I still play the $10 top dollar? Yes, but it's only 2 credits.
Right.
And I have a specific amount of budget for it.
Right.
I never go in
But you're
going
smart.
through.
You're smart. You're focusing on the most important thing that you should be thinking about. I think people get, it's because of marketing.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, people get so caught up in the payback percentage stuff, and even if you go and look at the return to player statistics for certain casinos or even certain areas, or broken down by denomination and stuff, can you discern stuff from that? Sure, you can. But all things considered, if you do have, let's say, 2 casinos within 30 miles driving distance of each, and you go and look at their return to player statistics over a period of a year, anything less than that is worthless in my mind.
Right. You wanna
Because
stay
it's too
within that.
short term.
Right.
Again, large numbers here. So look at it
The
over
short term doesn't get you anywhere. 'Cause like
No.
the last quarter, I like looking at least 3 years back.
Yeah.
I like to see a good, solid average.
I mean, here's a perfect example. There's somebody who likes to show return to player statistics, and they said, "Wow, look at what happened right before COVID hit and all the casinos closed down. They all lowered their odds to like 86% because they knew they were about to close." That's not what happened. What happened is people stopped going and playing, and that
People-
drove the numbers down.
If they were still open, if those
Yeah.
casinos were still open, there would still be people in them.
Right.
The only reason they closed is because you couldn't get flights, people
Yeah.
weren't traveling, people were shut in.
Yeah.
Had people still been coming to Vegas, those casinos would have been open the whole time.
Yeah.
But
But
everything
the
stopped.
but the thing is like, let's imagine when it comes to return to player statistics that for every month that is reported, let's say it is 50 million pulls on a slot machine. Let's say for a given month, and this is probably realistic if you're thinking about
On a
certain
single machine?
No, certain casino,
A certain casino, all the machines.
like all the $1
Okay.
machines.
Well, I don't know. 50 million spins here at Winstar would probably be like today.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. But imagine 50 million pulls on dollar machines. Okay, that is a large number.
That's a good
And
number.
you can use statistics to say that is a reliable number to make some kind of educated assumption as to what the payback percentage was
At the
on
casino.
average for that denomination at that casino.
Right.
But pre-COVID, let's say that sample size was only 1 million. Not 50 million, but
Now you
1
got
million
such
because they
small
didn't
numbers.
have a lot of people in there playing because they couldn't get there, like you said.
Right.
So the sample size is much smaller, and so you could see drastic changes with activity like that. And so, when you're looking at return to player statistics, the only thing that I ever say is worth looking at is if you do have a casino in either direction, 30 miles apart, and you look at their return to player, and one's up here consistently and one's down here consistently, definitely go
Play
to
the
the
top one.
Yeah, definitely go to that one because in the long run, you will end up in a better position.
If you look
But
at
in
Vegas,
your short
though,
term,
Yeah.
you may not. And that's what people always say is like when they go to Vegas, they're like, you got to play at Fremont Street because I saw a banner that said it's 3% better odds.
3%
downtown.
better odds.
It doesn't mean anything for your individual session. You could go down there and lose your ass, and then go down and spin once on the Las Vegas Strip and hit the biggest jackpot of your life.
and you never
Like
know.
that could happen.
So whenever I
So
look
why
at,
did that happen? It's 3% less.
when I look at return to player for Vegas, I'm looking at it for more my education more than trying
Right.
to figure out where that's. But if you look at all the casinos, even across the Strip, across downtown, all that, they are so close to each other.
Right.
I mean, they are very close. One month you might have one,
Yeah.
the Circa might be higher one month, or Aria might be higher one month,
Yeah.
or MGM Grand might be lower one
Yeah.
month. But on a whole, if you take all that numbers, put them in for a year,
Yeah.
you see pretty much a flat curve.
Yeah. And you cannot correlate. I think this is the other thing that people think is that you cannot correlate the return to player statistic percentage to the actual game percentage on the machine.
Right. There's no way
Because
to. You're talking about the whole
The
dollar
return to
denomination.
player is an average over tons of machines, over millions and millions of pulls. That's what that number. This was the actual result.
Can you imagine
from all
going
that.
downstairs and saying the return to player on a dollar machine is this, and trying to find that dollar machine?
Right.
I mean, talk about a needle in a haystack,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
a really big haystack.
Yeah.
But you're saying dollar machines are paying out well. Well, a few of them might be.
Yeah.
Some of them might be. But you're talking, what, 1,000 machines easily downstairs for a dollar by themselves?
Yeah, but even that, it's like, what could you do to identify which ones are paying well?
Right.
You can't.
You can't. There's
there's-
too many.
Well, no, I don't mean that. It's just that you cannot discern something. Like let's take that example and run with it. Let's say that we wanted to go downstairs to find which one is the winning machine.
The winning machine.
How do we know that though?
We would.
Just because you go and you hit it and you ended up getting a win on the first spin, it tells you nothing about that machine.
The only way we know that is if they gave the serial numbers of all the machines, and we could find that one machine. But this is now that we're in the past. We're dealing with past numbers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so our numbers now aren't current because we've gone one day.
Yeah.
1 hour. I don't even care if it's an hour.
Yeah.
If you give me all the statistics downstairs from the last hour, and I'm able to crunch those numbers in a spreadsheet real quick,
Yeah.
and I find by serial number the one machine that is killing it,
Yeah.
that still doesn't mean it's going to pay out if I go downstairs and
No,
play
it doesn't.
It's still just false odds. It's just
Yeah,
like,
it's
ooh,
and there's no cycles either, so it's not going to continue to pay.
right.
It's not going to continue to lose. You don't know.
That could have been great in 1 hour.
Yeah.
And then you go down 61 minutes and it's dead.
Well, I mean,
there's nothing.
even the microsecond that you push the button, it could have changed.
Right. It's like
You just don't know.
it had a great hour. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And the rest of the machines didn't. And then the machine next to that one could be winning at that time.
Yep.
But you're playing this one because you went by
Yep.
these numbers.
And it's just like we talk about the flipping of the coin thing.
Flipping the coin.
It's like,
Flip it 10 times, you might get a lot of heads.
yeah.
Flip it 100,000 times.
And you know what? When Brantley and I did the the seminar.
The seven feathers, yeah.
We got people up flipping coins, and somebody had, I think somebody had a 13 out of 20 heads, and I think only one person had 10 out of 10.
Even,
right,
yeah.
in the 50%.
That was the guy who kept dropping his quarter.
Right,
too.
exactly. But the thing is like, everybody, you ask somebody, is it, what are the odds of it hitting heads if you flip a coin? Roughly 50-50, right?
Yeah. If you flip it once.
If you flip it once.
You got 50-50.
You got a 50-50. But, if you think about like the randomness of that is that when you flip the coin, you don't know if it's going to be heads or tails. But the control is that it has to be heads or tails.
Right. There's no,
right.
Well, it can land on its edge technically is what my statistics professor would say.
I mean, that's why I say,
What's that?
That's why I say roughly 50%.
Exactly.
Because
like,
it could be,
it's not exactly 50 because it could land on the edge.
Exactly.
And I was like, you make it land on the edge right here, and I'll give you a quarter. It's like, come on, do it.
Yeah.
Make that happen by flipping a coin.
But just because you flip 13 heads doesn't mean that quarter's hot.
Exactly. It could be heads again. It could be tails again.
I think same
thing in roulette.
One of my favorite stories, and you guys can look this up. Maybe you'll put a link down here, Wikipedia article about the gambler's fallacy. About, I think it was I'm testing that, it was like 1918 or something in Monte Carlo, the country. They had a roulette.
Yep, the roulette wheel, the famous roulette wheel.
That was like 25 reds in a row.
Yep.
Like that. And so people put everything on
And this is Monte
black.
Carlo. Even back in 1818, it was a lot of money rolling around Monte Carlo. I mean, it was rich.
It was very rich. So everybody put everything they had on black. And it came up red again. And so that's the fallacy, and it falls into gambling with slot machines also, that people think that just because you've had so many reds in a row or so many wins in a row that it must continue. But your odds are the same every time you spin that button or the ball goes around the roulette wheel. It's the same every single time. You cannot take it into groups. It's an individual event every time you spin a slot machine. So you could get a win, you could not get a win. But it doesn't look back to say, wow, there's been a lot of wins recently. I'm falling out of balance. I better start, dialing back the amount of wins that I paid. Like, slot machines do not work that way.
One time I was playing roulette, 17 came up 4 times in a row.
Oh, wow.
And guy next to me said, there's no way it's coming up 17. That's impossible. I'm like, no. I'm like, no, it's not impossible. It's improbable,
right.
But it's not impossible.
Right.
17 came up again.
Yeah.
And I bet 17, but I've never changed my bet. It's always the same. It's always a $1 bet. On the inside, I'm betting $1 on a $1 table. And so I made, $200 basically on a $1 bet. Did I ever press it? No, because I don't press my numbers because it's not going to hit again.
Right.
And sure enough, it hit again. But someone's saying it's not going to hit it again. I'm like, no, it's still a 1 in 36 chance of it hitting again.
It's still the same.
It's 1 in 38 because double zero wheel.
Well, triple zero.
Don't even play triple zero wheel. I am sick of people playing triple zero wheel next to a double zero wheel.
I remember seeing those at Bellagio.
They hurt me to look at, and I see people playing them, and all the zeros are in a row. They're a cluster of them.
Yeah.
0, double zero, triple zero in a row. And I'm like, you guys, right next to you is a double zero table. Oh, but that's a $25 table, and this is a $15 table. And?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a different story.
That's a different story.
That's a totally different story.
Yeah, that's my roulette rant because I'm sick of triple zero. We're going to see quad zero next.
Oh.
There's a quad zero roulette wheel.
There's not going to be any numbers left.
No, any numbers.
It's going to all be for the house, and that's
it. You want to bet on a zero?
Yeah.
The numbers will get replaced by zeros.
Yep.
And then they'll change them to multi-different colors.
Yeah.
You can bet on red, black, green, gold, purple.
Right.
It's going to go down lines.
That's right.
They're always looking for an edge against you.
Oh yeah.
They absolutely are. And they don't need to make one because
they exist.
They exist already. Yeah. They're not fooling you into it because they know you're going to bet.
It's like 6-5 on blackjack.
6-5 on blackjack. Oh god.
Like they've always had it, but it was not very common. Like typically you'd see 6-5 on a single deck.
Right.
But any
3-2 is the main payout.
It's the main payout. It's 3-2. But now
6-5
multi-shoe or even automatic shufflers, they're doing 6-5.
Yeah, and that's
So it's just not,
it's killer.
you know, they sneak that stuff in, because it gives them a better edge. And
We always think
you know,
that they're doing something shady we don't know about. Like no, they're doing stuff right in front of your face.
oh yeah.
They want you to see what they're doing.
But again, people are uneducated.
That's true. Yeah.
Like we just rattled off 3-2 and 6-5. You probably have never heard of that.
Hopefully
and
you've heard of that if you play blackjack.
Exactly, but you should know that. Like
Yep.
if you're playing blackjack and you get a blackjack on a 6-5 table, you get paid 6-5 on that blackjack. So it's not as much as if it's 3-2. 3-2 is your bet plus half, and you're not getting that at 6-5. You're getting much less than that. So, it's important to look around, especially the blackjack tables.
I tell people,
sit
no
down at the
matter
right one.
what your game, be a student of gambling.
You should.
Know, at least if you're not a fan of craps, at least know how craps is played.
Yeah.
If you're not a fan of blackjack, at least I'm not a fan of blackjack, but I know how it's played. I know the rules even. I know you should always split eights.
Yeah.
And I've witnessed my other buddy Mark actually split eights 8 times.
Oh man.
Every time I get a chance to remind him of that, I do. Because the dealer ended up hitting 21.
Oh
and
no.
everyone lost. It was
That's
awful.
brutal. That's brutal.
But study. Don't just take
Yeah.
our word for it. Go study. Go
Yeah.
find out information.
Yeah, look all this stuff up yourself.
Look it all
and,
up there.
Yeah, be
Fact
smart.
check us.
Yeah,
go
absolutely.
out there and find information.
Yep.
And don't believe anybody just because they're telling you, oh, I know this because I have these educations and all that stuff. That doesn't mean
Yep.
anybody knows anything. It's experience that makes you know this stuff.
Yeah.
And you have to constantly be working on it.
And talk, the one thing that we always tell people is that, we've talked just ad nauseum about, compliance, like changing payback percentages on slot machines and how it can't be done remotely and all this kind of stuff, and how there's security tape and there's a process and all this kind of stuff. If you don't believe us, call the gaming commission and ask them, what is your process for making sure casinos
They'll
do not
send you the
monkey with
policy.
machines? They'll send you the policy. They'll tell you exactly how they do it. So if you don't believe what we're saying, just do your own research and find out. It's
On your machines
easy
at
to
home,
do.
how fast, let's just say class 3 only,
Yeah.
how fast could you change the odds?
On the newer machines, pretty quickly.
Okay, what about like the older 3-reel machines?
Those take 30 to 45 minutes.
30, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So even would that still cover like the Black Diamond machine, or would that fall into the newer machine?
Those are the newer machines.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if it's 30, 40 minutes on the old school 3
Yeah.
reels, 30, 40 minutes versus 100 machines in a
Yeah.
casino. I mean, no one's going to spend that much time.
Well, it's not even a time thing because, one of the things that is possible now, you got to listen to both parts of this because this is where people
Two
get tripped
parts.
up. There's 2 parts to this.
Don't just hear the first
Don't
part,
hear
run
the
with it.
first part. Casinos do have the ability to push programming changes out from a server in the back, basically saying, this is the new programming matrix for these games.
Don't run with this part.
Hold on. So they can change the bet level, from say a 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. They can do that like credits. They can change the payback percentage. They can even change the game. But here's the important thing.
This is the part to listen to before you run with number 1.
Right. The push sits in a queue on all of these machines, basically saying, here are the programming changes that need to be accepted. Okay? In order for a programming change to be accepted, the brain box of that machine, and every slot machine has one of these. Think of a brain box as like a modified computer. It's like a computer tower, but it's highly specialized for slot machines.
It's usually actually locked too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that there is a lock on that, and behind that lock is a special USB port that is the only USB port anywhere on the machine that is tied directly into the brain box. Now, there's USB ports for controlling like the button panel and the screen, touch screens and stuff like that, but this port is special. That is the only one that interfaces directly with the CPU.
And all those changes are held in queue.
They're held in queue. A special USB key has to be put in there to accept the changes. But here's the other thing, is that a lot of casinos, In fact, most of the casinos do not have the keys for the brain box.
Because that would be the
The
gaming
gaming
commission.
commission has the keys.
And they don't want the key because they don't want to be implicated
Right.
in any kind of wrongdoing
That's right.
and possibly lose their license.
Right.
All this is keeping the license, keeping
Yep.
the money going,
Exactly.
following the law.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, like if you've ever watched, this is how critical it is to casinos that they can continue operation, is that if you've ever noticed a casino employee opening one of the doors, you know, for whatever reason, your ticket got stuck or they need to put new ticket paper or whatever.
Ticket paper seems to always be the one.
You know,
Like,
they open the door. Well, what do? They pull a notebook out of the machine
Mark it.
and mark, why did I open it? What time of day? Who am I? They always
and
look
that
at their
better
watch.
line up with the actual
Exactly.
machine when it's telling when the door opens.
Exactly. So they document the hell out of all that stuff because the gaming commission will come by and say, you know, why the hell was this door opened?
And if it's
There's
not
no
marked
law
on there,
that could
Yep.
be some serious trouble. The last thing I'll say about that, them pushing the changes down, things like that, is that a lot of times, like the Shoshone Rose, for example, we watched this procedure from start to finish, and that was a smaller casino, but we've also watched it at larger casinos also, this process.
everyone has the same process
Well,
within a given
they have a little bit,
range.
yeah, a little bit different. So at the bigger property, the casino did have the keys, like the USB sticks, like I mean, they're called e-keys, but they're basically like elevated USB keys.
Gotcha.
They can't be copied or duplicated. Like these are, you know, dedicated.
You got to
like
get them from the
service-
manufacturer.
Yeah, they're like
Yeah.
service keys anyway. At the larger casinos, they have that, but they don't have the keys to unlock it. You know, because the
Checks and balances.
you know, there's two ways. On a lot of the older machines, they may not be locked, but they have security tape over it. So there's like a void sticker. So if the board was ever removed, it would break that seal,
And they
and
know
that
that.
they could get in trouble because the gaming commission will go around and do audits, opening doors and looking to make sure that security seal is intact.
I've seen them with their little light. They'll do a check like that.
Oh, yeah,
And
they
it's
will.
a random check. There's
It's
like,
just a random check.
Yep.
They're looking to make sure that void tape is there. Every machine that I've ever gotten in the shop has remnants of that tape on there. Okay,
whether it's just a stick 'em or whatever.
yeah. What it's like if you ever had a PlayStation or an Xbox and you turn it upside down, and you're like, I want to take this thing apart. Well, there's a special
There's a
screw.
little void. Yep.
There's a special screw that has a void sticker over the top of it.
And you unscrew it.
So you
pops
unscrew it, pops that void, it breaks that void sticker, and so then it voids your warranty.
You can't buy those stickers
So,
on Amazon, by the way.
Yeah, this
eBay and Amazon.
can't do that with slot machines.
Yeah, you can't do it with slot machines.
Um,
But it's important to know that these casinos are making billions.
They don't need to
They're
do this.
not going to
and
risk
they're not
it.
going to risk
They're
it.
not going
They're
to
not
risk
gonna risk
their
trying to
profits
change it, yeah.
for their shareholders.
Yep.
It's not shady like it was back in the 50s. These are corporations that owe money to people, are the shareholders, which I own stock in MGM and Caesars.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm a shareholder. I want them to make money, which is kind of, self-deprecating because they're taking my money to give
To
me
make
money
money.
back in a way. But they're great investments right now. I
Right.
mean,
More
during
people,
the pandemic,
more people are
they
going.
were so
yeah.
far down, and I'm like, these are good buys.
Yep.
Bought some, and it has gone well above where it was before the pandemic.
Right.
And
Yep.
because casinos always make money,
Yep.
everyone wants to go gamble all the time,
Yep.
and they're not going to risk trying to win an extra $50 off Joe Wisconsin
Yeah.
by
changing the odds.
by
for the
changing the
weekend or
odds
anything like
and
that.
risk
yeah.
their $1 billion a quarter profit.
Yeah.
That's not going to
And,
happen.
and a lot of people will say, well, but it's cheaper. They'll just pay the fine, and it's not just a fine.
It's not fine. You
guys.
can lose your license.
You can lose your license. And can you imagine if the media got wind of this?
Oh man, can you
Would you-
imagine
would
if
you
Aria
ever-
lost their license?
Would you ever go to a casino if the media reported that they were caught by
Never.
the gaming commission monkeying with the machines?
You'd never go.
They would be done.
I mean,
They would be done.
they would just, especially let's say it's someplace big. Okay,
Yeah.
let's say it's Aria that
Yeah.
did this, and they had to shut Aria down to reissue a license, which can take years.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be detrimental
is.
into the billions.
They're
easily.
doing everything that they can to, cross their T's and dot their I's. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're not gonna.
They're above board. That doesn't mean they're your friend, but
Right.
they are above board when it comes to the law. They
Yep.
want to make sure everything is good. And you can actually call the corporate office of whatever. So MGM Grand, you can call, or sorry, MGM Properties, you can call that corporate office and you can get all the data. You can just ask for it. Talk to investor relations and you can get whatever data you want. They'll share it with you. They'll share the lost audit report. They'll
Yep.
share everything.
Yeah, they can see it.
It's all public. So everything is there for you. You can call the gaming commission in whatever state you're in and ask for it. Even a state you're not in. I know you can call Nevada Gaming Commission and say,
Yeah.
can you send me your audit procedures
Oh, yeah.
or last
Oh, yeah.
audit for these areas? And they'll send you. That's all public record. Now,
Yeah.
sometimes you may have to do like a open records request,
Yeah, sure.
but it's still there for you.
Yep.
And generally speaking, if you do an open records request, they're going to call you up right away and ask what's wrong and how we can help.
Yeah.
Because they
don't. It's
they
public
hate
relations
they hate open records requests.
Public relations is such a big deal. So
It's the easiest way to get something done, though, is ask open records request. Yeah, I want to do open records request for the last 6 years on your audits.
right.
Eyes get big, people get sweaty.
That's
And it's
right.
not that they have anything to hide. It's just that when you're asking that much from a public group, a governmental group, it makes them sweat because they answer to someone else.
Right.
And
right.
like anyone else, you find something wrong, you could run with it.
Yeah.
And that's just,
Yeah.
no one wants
Just
it.
you guys, feel safe gambling at these places.
Feel
'cause
very
they're,
safe.
They're, it's still gambling, but they're run very legitimately. And if you really do have concerns, then we don't recommend you go. Like we've heard from people that.
I don't feel
I
like-
know that they're screwing me. Well, then don't
Don't-
go.
don't gamble there.
Just don't go.
Don't gamble there.
You
If
know.
you feel that they're cheating you, don't go there.
But we assure you, like there's any proper casino, and we're not talking about the ones in the gas
Yeah,
stations.
don't go to the gas stations.
We're talking about like Winstar, Aria, like these big Harrah's, all of these, these are well established, highly regulated entities.
Highly reputable, too.
Yeah, and
I
they are not going to do anything. And listen, you may have a bad trip, but don't blame the casino.
Right.
Because slot machines will sometimes pay and sometimes they won't. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. But it's not the casino's fault. They're not setting the machines to, take all your money because you're a first-time player there or you're the third-time player or anything like that. They're not. That's not how slot machines operate. Like you either are going to win or you're not.
And if you consistently lose at slots, either stop playing or get good at video poker.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's it. I mean, or blackjack. Get good at a game that has such a low house edge that you're not getting any comps for, but at least you have a better chance if you play perfect strategy.
That's right.
Hashtag on star on perfect strategy there,
That's right.
because if you don't play perfect strategy, none of it matters.
No, yeah, you're further and further away from
Yeah,
the
can't
payback
follow your gut.
percentage,
I think we did pretty good there.
Yeah,
We
well, that
should-
was a pretty good.
I think
good
so.
video. So yeah, thanks, Dave. This was cool.
And thanks,
We
Mark.
gotta do that
Appreciate
again.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is a
absolutely.
blast coming up here.
Yeah, we
Mark
had
and
fun.
Jody come up here more often. It gets me up here more often.
Yep.
And it's just a blast to come hang out with them, and
Yeah,
just say,
yeah.
hey, we only live a few hours apart,
I know.
but because of life, it's
It's
hard to do
sometimes.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
But we'll definitely be back for some more.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And remember, gamble smart.
Gamble safe.
There we go. Have a good one, Evan.
All right, bye guys. All right, you can turn your little light on.
It is on.
Oh, it is on.
Should I
Okay.
turn it on brighter?
No, I think it's good.
All right.
I think it's good. Oh, did I start? I think I started it, but before we start
Take
this
two.
talking. No, I did. And let's keep an eye on. Oh, your thing is. Oh,
Yeah.
turn that off.
I'll put it over here. I just did.
You did not.
Silent mode on. There we go. Okay, now it's on. All right. Take 3.
We good to go?
Good to go.
All right, you started your channel.
All right.